This ended up being the most ambitious project we've done. The album's a departure for fuzzy music in the sense that, I focused on the Dr. thing. That's dr.un. A fun play on words, and that is a fun play on a big part of my musical history, I guess. But it is electric based. This is purely acoustic. Live versus studio, just more things happen live. The spirit is freer. You're not concerned so much with perfection, and all of us have recorded enough that we're not playing, at the club with the microphones like thinking, oh my goodness, this will last for posterity. We're just glad that it's being captured. The magic and chemistry that happens when there's an audience, and in the case of the Sam Furze Club, a really good audience, very attentive. Just from their quiet attention, there's an energy that comes to you on the bandstand. So the history of this group, at least as far as I'm concerned, Alan Pasqua and I met at a jam session in the Indiana University School of Music in the fall of 1971. I've known him for almost 50 years, and we've been playing together for much of that time. I met a young bass player at the California Institute of the Arts. His name was Darek Oles. I ran into him while on tour with Mike Manieri, and he was working with Brad Meldau at the time. The first time I worked with Garzone, this is momentous. I was part of a celebration of 4 drumming masters, Louis Bellson, Max Roach, Elvin Jones, and Roy Haynes. This was called the American Drumming Achievement Awards, and I lobbied really hard to get the Elvin tribute slot. They said, "Do you want to play with someone locally?" And sure, So, well, we got tenor player George Garzone, and I think that might have been the first time I had played with George. He's one of those musicians that just brings out the best in anyone that plays with him. I know he brings out the best in me. This is certainly the best jazz drumming I've ever done. It'd been too long since I played with George, and we were in communication with one another, and I said, hey, why don't you come out? So I arranged a master class at the Thornton School of Music at the University of Southern California, and booked 3 nights at the Sam Furze Club. It just seemed an obvious idea to record it. The performances are unedited, which I also like, so there was no trying to fix things, but we had enough tunes over the course of 3 nights to pick the very best. And I didn't want to limit it to one album. I just couldn't select. We have 3 versions of the standard Have You Met Miss Jones, because each one is remarkably different, remarkably swinging, and in my opinion, remarkably great. So I wanted to make this visually pleasant and fun and interesting. The artists, Connie and Mark Beecher, engineer Aaron Walk, mastering engineer Rich Breen, and all 4 of us musicians, but the 3 other musicians. Just a tremendous amount of trust. And so the result is just something I can look at now and go, wow, great. We did the master class at USC the evening before we moved into the club. George didn't even call the tune. I think he just started playing. And it might have been Have You Met Miss Jones? And we just started playing, and we just looked around and just had to like, holy cow, this was great. That's the history. The history is happening right there in the moment. Everyone is listening, and our varied histories come together. We have common histories. Certainly the rhythm section of Alan, Darek, and myself, we've played together a whole lot over the years. And so we not only develop a vocabulary and a language, we have lots of inside nods and winks, and more than anything else, we trust each other. And so when musicians trust one another, you're not trying to correct or overcorrect for anything. It just comes out, and that's what was captured. I mean, it was a really great 3 nights.